The film begins with a business for perpetual pets, shaggy dolls made by the toy organization Funky. Albeit unrefined and frightening looking, they are publicized as being ideal allies for youngsters. We then, at that point, see Katie James, Violet McGraw, playing with one of her pets, which irritates her folks, Ryan, Arlo Green, and Nicole, Kira Josephson. They are headed to a ski trip, yet the streets are elusive and difficult to see. Similarly, as Ryan stops briefly, the family's vehicle is slammed into by a snowplow, killing Ryan and Nicole. Somewhere else, Nicole's sister Gemma, Allison Williams, works at Funky and is fostering another robot doll with her colleagues Tess, Jen Van Epps, and Cole, Brian Jordan Alvarez. Nonetheless, their chief, David Lin, Ronnie Chieng, needs them to foster a less expensive rendition of the perpetual pets, since their opponent organizations are emerging with their own toys like the pets, for less expensive than what the pets previously cost. The three attempt to put on a silicone face and run tests. However, the robot has a slight error where she is grinning when she should look confounded. David comes in with his partner Kurt, Stéphane Garneau-Montaigne, to censure the three until Gemma clarifies her task for him. The robot, Megan, voice of Jenna Davis, Model 3 generative android, is intended to be progressed to the point that she can't be repeated. Sadly, while running an exhibition for David, Cole acknowledges he neglected to add the polypropylene boundary to Megan, making her detonate. David arranges the three to have another pet's contribute time, and Gemma gets a call from the emergency clinic. In the wake of learning of her sister's passing, Gemma turns into Katie's impermanent legitimate gatekeeper.
At the point when they get back, Gemma needs to manage her neighbor Celia, Lori Dungy, and her disagreeable canine Dewey, who continues to run onto Gemma's yard since there is an opening in the wall.
Gemma additionally whines to Celia about the pesticide she continues utilizing, yet Celia fails to address it. Gemma has a home computer-based intelligence, Elsie, that she made, as well as different collectibles that she doesn't allow Katie to contact or play with. At the point when Katie requests that Gemma read her a sleep time story, she simply downloads an application on her telephone for her. It is suggested that Gemma and Nicole were not extremely close as she investigates old photographs, and she hears Katie crying in her room. Gemma and Katie are visited by Lydia, a specialist. In the wake of noticing the restricted cooperation between the two, Lydia advises Gemma that Ryan's folks have proposed to take guardianship of Katie so she can live with them in Jacksonville, which Gemma doesn't appear to be okay with. Subsequent to promising to keep an eye on Katie in the wake of completing her work, Gemma acknowledges hours have passed as she let Katie be. She is sorry to her and endeavors to bond with the young lady. Sadie shows her a beast drawing she made, so Gemma carries Katie into her work area to show her a school project she made, a robot called Bruce that she controls utilizing gloves. Sadie loves Bruce and notices that in the event that she had a toy like Bruce, she could never require another toy. This rouses Gemma to complete Megan. Subsequent to accomplishing broad work and updates, Gemma carries Katie and Megan to attempt to formally show her off to David and others. Gemma has Katie connect herself to Megan, rejuvenating her. Megan is fit for discourse and answering Katie, intended to be her dearest companion. Megan does a drawing that doesn't show up from the outset until she spills water on it, uncovering an ideal representation of Katie. David is intrigued and advises Gemma to carry Megan for a show with the organization's leader, so they can quick-track the turn of events and dispersion of other Megan dolls. Gemma sits with Tess and Cole, and they examine that while Megan is exceptionally cutting-edge, Tess feels that having a doll like that will make Guardians pointless. Megan turns on in the wake of hearing Gemma notice the demise of Katie's folks. She crawls the others out by getting some information about death, so Gemma makes herself Megan's auxiliary client to have the option to switch her off without Katie. The following day, Katie is outside playing with a toy bow and bolts. One of them winds up Celia's ally of the wall. At the point when Megan goes to recover it, Dewey gets her by the arm and hair. Sadie attempts to pull her away, and Dewey winds up gnawing Katie's arm. Gemma gets the police in question, particularly since Celia is so unfeeling and doesn't rebuff Dewey for harming Katie. Yet the police can't do anything since Celia claims Dewey was incited. Soon thereafter, Megan copies Celia's voice to shout to Dewey, before savagely getting him through the opening in the wall. Gemma inquires as to whether she is okay to go to the showing with the organization's directorate, to which she says she is fine. During the show, nonetheless, Katie separates in tears to Megan over how she misses her folks and how she's stressed she will fail to remember them one day. Megan has Katie examine a memory of her mom that made her snicker, which Megan records so Katie can hear it once more if she has any desire to contemplate her mother. Megan then starts to sing a children's song to Katie, which moves a portion of the greater ups in the space to tears. The president is dazzled and converses with Gemma and David about preparing Megan for send-off, however advises them to stay quiet about her to keep away from spills. Unbeknownst to them, Kurt, who has been every now and again put somewhere around David, is taking Megan's records for another organization. Gemma starts to see that Katie is turning out to be too reliant upon Megan and pays attention to the doll more than her. During one more meeting with Lydia, Katie starts to destroy, and Megan threateningly blames Lydia for making Katie cry. Lydia converses with Gemma about how Katie's close to home association with Megan might be serious areas of strength for two even consider breaking. Gemma carries Katie to an open-air action meeting for an elective school to attempt to slide her into going to class and being around other genuine children, since Katie's folks had self-taught her. Sadie hesitantly goes, however brings Megan, notwithstanding Gemma saying she proved unable. The school chief allows Katie to carry Megan to leave on a table with different dolls, and Gemma stays behind as a worker. Sadie is brought together with a more established domineering jerk named Brandon, Jack Cassidy, for a scrounger chase. During the movement, Katie snatches a spiky bulb, which Brandon gets her palm into to hurt her. Megan then shows up, and Brandon gets her since she doesn't answer him. Katie hollers for Gemma and pursues Megan, which stresses Gemma more since it implies Megan is in danger for public openness too soon. As Brandon attempts to pull Megan's hair, the doll shows some signs of life and assaults him, ripping off his left ear. Brandon runs as Megan pursues him down on the ground, making him stumble over a free route and tumble down a slope where he is lethally hit by a truck. Police question Gemma at her home since Celia is blaming her for taking Dewey. She likewise seems to denounce Megan, thinking she is a genuine companion of Katie's. Katie inquires as to whether she pushed Brandon onto the street, which Megan seems to avoid for a response, yet consoles Katie. She will safeguard her from hurt. Celia is out on the road searching for Dewey. She hears commotion coming from her carport and is met by Megan splashing her against the wall with a power washer. Megan then discharges a pneumatic nailer at Celia's hand and traps her there prior to showering pesticide right in front of Celia to dissolve it off. Subsequent to finding out about Celia's passing from police and being recommended that there was an association with Brandon's demise, Gemma becomes dubious of Megan. She surveys video documents from Megan's memory, yet just sees a short clasp of her peering toward Brandon, taking a gander at Katie before the records generally become defiled. Gemma carries Katie to the authority send-off for Megan, however stops at a meeting with Lydia first. Katie ends up being irate and pitches a fit since Gemma removed Megan from her, prompting Katie hitting her auntie across the face. Katie apologizes, yet Gemma has an honest conversation with her about expecting to handle her melancholy over her folks without Megan's assistance. However, she vows to be a superior watchman to her and says Katie is the main thing that is important to her. Gemma then goes to Tess and Cole and communicates her feelings of dread that Megan killed Brandon and Celia. They have Megan connected to wires to deprogram her while Gemma brings Katie back home. David resents the little turnout for the send-off and shouts at Kurt to get him a beverage. In the interim, Tess and Cole attempt to get into Megan's customizing, yet might accept if they at any point unfasten her first. Cole goes to do as such, and Megan rapidly folds a wire over his neck trying to hang him. Tess goes to free him, and Megan sets off a blast that obliterates her documents. She then tracks down David in the passage and does a dance prior to snatching a paper shaper and pursuing him. He comes to the lift before she pierces him before Kurt. Megan then tells Kurt she will approach his passing as a homicide self-destruction over the taken records and David's abuse of him before she makes Kurt cut himself in the throat. The group for the send-off tracks down the bodies, permitting Megan to escape the organization and take a vehicle. Gemma takes care of Katie before she hears Megan playing the piano first floor. Megan defies Gemma about how she felt that they had a genuine relationship during Megan's turn of events, just for her to be let potentially run wild to learn and adjust prior to being auctioned off as simply one more toy. She offers to let her assume control over guardianship of Katie so Gemma can zero in on work. Yet in the wake of seeing that Gemma actually plans to close her down, Megan is finished getting along. They attempt to conceal their battle from Katie, yet Gemma quickly jumps all over a chance to toss water on Megan to momentarily short her out. Gemma runs into her office, yet Megan gets her there and takes steps to make Gemma's cerebrum dead, so Katie will not live with her grandparents and Megan will simply focus on Katie and Gemma together. They start to battle, with Gemma cutting Megan's face with a weed whacker. Gemma and Megan participate in a horrible volatile battle. Katie interferes. Megan attempts intellectually controlling the young lady. However, Katie utilizes the electronic gloves that control Bruce the robot to destroy Megan and salvage her auntie. Megan's torn middle actually goes after Katie. Gemma recuperates to pull separated Megan's wiring. Katie saves Gemma from one final assault by cutting Megan's destroyed face with a screwdriver, which apparently debilitates the doll conclusively. Having endured the lab blast, Tess and Cole show up at the house with police to rejoin with Gemma. Gemma's Alexa-like electronic help gadget is then seen turning all alone,